And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's hit the button. The button has been hit. Greetings, chat. Welcome. This is our next installment in the PS3 Synth series, and hopefully my little segment at the beginning of every show where I am super nervous will be getting shorter and shorter. So welcome. We've got one viewer so far, I think. Welcome to you. And to anyone else who joins us, please say hello and participate as much or as little as you'd like. I'm trying to find my windows here. Yeah, here we go. Alrighty. First, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to the last couple of followers we got last time, because particularly hello to Vesal Java Harry, and I'm really sorry if I butchered that pronunciation, but you followed me during the last stream in the unfortunate period of time when I forgot to put my headphones back on my head. And so just wanted to say thank you and welcome, and hello to Al4O Fuss and Dank Warmouse. What is up? Maybe I will see you on YouTube or later on tonight. So, now, let's dive in. We are going to start where we left off, where we'd added this cool motion stuff with our PS3. Oh, let's not put that in front of the camera. Yeah, here we go. We'd added some cool motion stuff with our PS3 controller. I've already got it connected here, and when I hit the X button and hold it, we can now make notes. And when I hold left, our filter goes swoosh until it goes away. And then I can hold right, and it goes swoosh in the other direction. And that's pretty sweet, if you ask me. We even had some background music. So, what to do today? We've got our handy dandy notes file. Let's get that open. No, that's the wrong tab. Here we go. So, today, I want to start off with playing with the speed settings on our movement. Right now, it's doing what we want, but it's not doing it in a way that feels like it's super comfortable to me. I want it to be a bit more responsive, and the other thing we need to do is add a range so that we have good musical boundaries. As you can see here, if I hold left, we just kind of eventually drift off the left of the screen real fast, and that is not great. We want to make it so this is as foolproof as possible, and this kind of thing does not happen. So this is what I would call the equivalent of, we're going to spend a little time farming. It's, the programming equivalent of we got to level up a little bit. We got to go collect some rupees, we got to just kill a bunch of dudes so that we can level up, and, you might think it's kind of boring, but it's pretty satisfying. We're going to clean up our patch a little bit, we're going to refine things so that they work super well, and I think it feels really good, and we can hang out and chat while we do it, and maybe we will learn some stuff. This is something you want to do when you're happy with how things are working so far, but you want to refine them, and you want to clean them up. And it's good to do that when things are working and not as you're building. So these are some of the kinds of concepts that I want to cover here with projects that are kind of independent of whatever language you're working in. I do Ruby on Rails for my day job, and I think in the exact same way when I'm doing a project over there or in C++. There comes a stage here where you like in Dark Souls where you hit a bonfire and you're at a checkpoint, and then you want to pause and make sure that you are as leveled up as you want to be before you go on to fight the next boss. There are some people who can, do a speed run of Dark Souls with their character in a loincloth, and they don't bother doing any of this stuff, but I'm not one of those people. I like to take it slow, I like to take my time, and make sure stuff is clean for building new features on later. Otherwise, you get a spider web of crap that's impossible to debug. And this is already looking kind of spiderwebby to me, so we are going to fix that today. So, first of all, let's come down here, and this is our code that we're using for parsing our joystick data. And we have these kind of magic numbers in our scale, and that's the first thing I want to address. and in here. Magic numbers are things that you're going to forget in a month because it's just a number that we know what this means right now. We know our incoming data is 0 to 255. But if I come back to this in a month, I'm going to be like, what the hell does this 255 mean? And why did I scale it to 6 to 69? Who knows? So it would be best to label these things with either comments or variables. And over here, this is what is going to give us more comfortable movement controls. So let's play around with that first. What I want to do is, first of all, open up the reference for scale, because I'm pretty sure this gives you an extra argument that lets you do logarithmic scaling. Now that sounds super fancy, and this is one of those things where, like, stop me if you have questions anytime. I want to make this stream accessible to beginners, but useful to people who are intermediate or advanced as well. Logarithmic sounds all super complicated and stuff. I can't speak, I gotta calm down. But what it really does is make it so that, yes, exponential, that's what I'm looking for here. It adjusts how we are scaling so that maybe the lower numbers are less sensitive than the larger numbers. If it has a curve like this, can you see it in front of the camera? Yes. If it has a curve like this, then lower numbers are going to be more sensitive and easier to control than larger numbers as we get farther. So that means that if we jam the controller all the way to the left, we want it to move fast. But if we're just nudging it a little bit, we want to have finer control. So that's what I'm shooting for here. And this is the kind of thing that you want to knock out early if you can. At least that's the way I think of it. So let's see. Exponential, float, optional. Any kind of examples of this? Determine the curve of value mapping. Here we go. Let's read this. Exponential, I'm looking over here. This is where they explain what some of these arguments in the reference documents mean. This optional, oops, I zoomed in too much. This optional fifth argument specifies the nature of the scaling curve. This argument must be a floating point number, greater than 1, with larger values leading to steeper exponential curves. So, that would mean, first, a floating point number just means something with a decimal point. The larger values lead to steeper exponential curves. So that means something that's going to grow real fast as opposed to a more gentle slope. And we'll play around with it and see what we like. In classic mode, a typical value for this is 1.06. The object does its actual scaling after the exponential calculation, and the number is converted according to the following expression. Oh boy. Ain't nobody got time for that. Let's just play around with it. So now we know kind of roughly what we want. This is another example of what I'm talking about with bird's eye view. I could spend half an hour looking at exactly what that formula is. And, you know, maybe in the future we actually need to. There's nothing wrong with that. It's probably a good idea to if you want to dive into this deeper. But for our purposes, we just want to see how it feels in our hands. So I'm going to add 1.06 as it suggests. Here, I'll zoom in so this is easier to see. Move this over. And let's see. Okay, we don't need to scoot any of our cables over since this is the last argument. Let's add it over here as well. 1.06. And just thinking to myself, so these are both the X controller. This is going left, this is going right. Y. We'll deal with Y in a little while. But that's part of my motivation for wanting to clean this up. If we are truly happy with our X logic, then Y will be no problem. And this is our button stuff. Let's just move this out of our way so we can focus. Boop! Alright. So what I want to do is put a little number box over here. And we might as well send it into both of them for, well, let's just do a separate one. We're going to have two little happy little number boxes. They're both floats. And that way we can add these to our presentation and play around with them and see how they feel. And and I'm going to add a comment here. Live.comment. This was recommended to me by a friendly person on Reddit as being a bit more readable to you guys, hopefully, because I like using a dark color scheme. So we're going to label these as exponential values. I bet I spelled that wrong. Exponential potatoes. Let's add that to presentation as well. Let's zoom out. Let's pull this up here. Whee! There's our stuff. Cool. So now we have these values that we can control. I'm going to scoot this stuff over a bit. We don't need this right now. Put it over here. And let's see. I'm going to jump over to my stream manager real quick, because I don't want to be ignoring you guys, and I can't see my chat very well on this view. Yep, there we go. Oh my goodness, 3 viewers. Hello, folks. Feel free to chime in if you have any suggestions, or if you want to just introduce yourself. I would love to get people talking and sharing their own max tricks here. If I'm doing something dumb, I want to hear about it so that I can improve too. But I also kind of like to be... I want to be the Bob Ross of programming for you. If you want to just chill and listen, that is so okay as well. Or just enjoy the schadenfreude of watching me struggle with these things. That is totally okay as well. Alright, so we've got our exponential values. What else do we want to control here? We also want to play around with our range. So if you remember from last time, this -10 to 0 and 0 to +10 is how quickly we are nudging our filter values as we move our joystick. So you can actually watch it over here. Let me zoom in up in this way. We're receiving one value here, and when I go left, it's going... Oops, I have to click the menu. This is another thing we're going to clean up today. I hate having to click this menu every time. This way. Up. Cool. So, you can see when I move left, that number over here is going to be between 0 and -10. And when I move right, it goes up. Oh my. These are interesting. Oh, this must be the exponential thing. These are not the values I was expecting. Well, we will play around with that. But the idea is that when we move left, this is going to either nudge a little bit or a lot. And when we move right, it'll add either a little bit or a lot. And move our happy little filter around. So, we want to be able to control that range and find a good range. Let's unlock it. Let's zoom in. Let's add 2 more happy little number boxes. And we're going to have to remember these are 10 and 10 over here. So low output value. We want to control the high output value, because low is good. Oh, wait, no, I'm wrong. We want to control low on this one, and we want to control high on this one. And let's make sure these are plugged in at the right place. Yes. Alright. So, since these were being a little weird, let's take this initial argument out at first. And that way, when we reload this patch, it'll go back to the way it was. And we can play with range first. And then we can figure out some exponential values that we like. Good to do one thing at a time. So let's also give this a label. This is going to be our low... Let's actually call it nudge left. And this one will be nudge right. Cool. Add presentation. Zoom out. And lock it. And grab these dudes. Pull them up. Whee! Put them over here. Cool. And save it. Now, we get to do some playing. let's close and open this again. So Space Synth 2. We're going to go into Max for Live, Max Instrument. Where the hell did it go? I thought it was in here. Just a second. Should I put it in here? Ah, audio effect. Should probably go in instrument, but whatever. Cool. Select the controller. We are on low pass. There we go. We're going to give this a starting value. We're going to give this some gain. We're getting sound. Good times. That is behaving how I want it. Okay, cool. Always good to start. I like to call it the island of sanity. I like to start in a place where I'm like, alright, I know things are at least, mostly working. So, here we go. Move that over a bit. Hope you guys can see. I'm not sure where my camera is in relation to this because I'm zoomed in. But we can see now that when I move left, it goes to -10. When I put it back to the middle, it's 0. When I move right, it's +10. So things are cool. That number box on the top here is our joystick value. This number on the bottom is our current filter frequency. And now we get to actually play with it. So let's see what happens. I'm going to zoom back out. If I change the nudge left and nudge right to a larger number, let's say -20 and +20, we should see this move a lot faster. Yep. That's feeling better to me. Let's move it even higher. Let's see how that feels. I feel like we're on the right track, though. It still feels like it's easy to control to me. Moving by 30 hertz is not a huge amount. That's pretty fast. So now this is where the exponential comes in, because I am noticing that right around here it feels great. It's moving fairly fast, but it's very controllable. And I have to hold right longer as we get higher because of the way this frequency diagram is laid out. But when I'm moving left, we get off the screen really fast. So we could combat that by making our nudge left value smaller than our right, but adding an exponential value might do what we want. Let's try -20 and 30 for the heck of it. So I'm just nudging now. That's pretty cool. I like that. Good stuff, good stuff. Right around here, we're still gonna run right off the page, though. We might need a different exponential value on the left than the right. That might be interesting. So they're expecting a number over 1, and it should be a float. So let's see what happens when we do 1.06, which is what they suggested. It feels even faster to me. Let's try it with an even higher number and see how it reacts. Let's try 1.9. This should give us an extreme example of what this function looks like without having to go deep into the math. Oh, it's super sensitive on the left now. It just flies off the page. Okay, so that's not what we want. We probably want a smaller number over here. Now, it said it was expecting something over 1, but I kind of remember this allowing you to do less than 1 values. I'm curious what happens if I do 0.5. Let's see if I blow it up. What do you think, chat? Are we going to blow up? Throw numbers at me if you want me to try them. Okay, we're not blowing up. Still feels a little too sensitive to the left. So let's change our nudge value to be smaller. Let's go back to -10 there. Gotta say right feels pretty good, but okay, now left is feeling like it's getting towards too slow. It's just when you get down here. So we need to add boundaries. I think that's going to influence this a bit. We're getting close on our numbers. Let's see what happens if I just do 1 on the left. Okay. Pretty good. Let's try, just for the heck of it, let's go really small, because I'm unsure if that's doing anything if it's under 1. 0.01. Feels about the same to me. So let's see. I think we better put our boundaries in next, because that will help us here. We want to make sure that no matter what, we are not going to go less than... well, how low do we want to go? How low can you go? If I go over here, let's get some sound. Let's just see how it sounds and where we want this to end up. I can't really hear that, so around here is where I'm starting to hear things. I'm going to hold the button down. I'm going to just adjust. Whoop. Going to lock the patch, then I'm going to adjust this. So yeah, around 120 hertz is sort of where I'm losing it. We probably want to be able to fade it out somewhere around here. So let's cut it off at like, let's do 120 for now. Woo, it's still drifting, why? Okay, thank you. So, how do we do that? Let's think. Think. Well, we don't want to cut anything off on the joystick side, because that is just acting as adding and subtracting things. We always want to be able to go left when we press on the joystick until we hit a boundary. So I think what we want to do is more cut this number off. Now let's see. Time to Google, because I don't remember how to do this. There are some specific max objects that are good for doing this sort of thing. 10 points to chat if you suggest one. Let's see. Think. Max MSP restrict range of numbers. Let's try that. How to limit cap a looping range of numbers. Yeah, limiting and capping is what we want. I guess I could have read the question a bit more. So, we don't have a looping range of numbers, I don't think. He or she says, I'm trying to limit the incoming values of a Reactivision fiducial markers rotation. Good God, I don't know what that is. That's in radians and goes from 0 to 6.283. Oh, okay. So it's something going in a circle. That's what that is. Starts a new cycle from 0 again when rotated clockwise, beyond the 6.283, and then applies for rotation in the other direction and goes from 0 to 6.283 again. Would like to limit the range so that it would stay at the maximum even if you keep rotating the marker further clockwise, and at the minimum when you've reached the minimum. Actually, that is pretty close to what we want. If we're holding down left, we want the controller to push our filter left until it hits a boundary, and then stop. And same for right. Looking for some objects I can use. So here's someone posting a patch, which we could copy. Let's see. They're using an expression. I feel like this is more complicated than we need. We just really need a hard stop at one number. So split would probably do it. Doesn't feel like the best solution, but... God, I know there is an object just for this. Clip. That's what I'm thinking of. I bet clip is what we want. Alright. Back to our patch. Clip. And if this doesn't do it, I bet it'll point us to an object that does. Limit numbers to a certain range. Yes, that's what we need. We don't need any complicated expressions. Hey, there's a good programming lesson to impart. This is another one of those things that's like, regardless of what language you're using, complicated is not better. You might spend all this time learning the complicated kung fu of doing, you know, recursive loops and fancy stuff like that, and not get to use it very often, because the real goal of programming is not to show off to your coworkers. The goal of programming is to make stuff that works, and stuff that you can change in the future and add things to without giving yourself a migraine. And so one simple object that does this, instead of pouring through that huge patch that used a bunch of expressions, chef's kiss. So, let's see how this works. We have an output minimum, an output maximum, and... okay, they're setting these to default arguments of 10 and 50, and we're gonna print this out. Yep, so no matter where I put this slider, we're getting nothing but the numbers from 10 to 50 out. That is exactly what we want. Wonderful. So let's put this at a minimum of 120 hertz. And we're going to use a decimal point here because we don't want to clip ourselves to integers unnecessarily. And what do we want for our maximum? Let's see how it sounds. Going in the other direction. Still good, still good. It moves slower and slower as you get up here. That's probably good. Yeah, 10,000, 10,500. That seems plenty. That's like hi-hat cymbal range. 10,000. Let's just do 10,000. A small but musical range is pretty ideal, I think, when making synths. It's the temptation of every programmer to just give you a bunch of options. Like, I could easily make these numbers just be part of the interface, but no one but us wants to actually poke at those. Like, we want to get those to a place where they feel good and they sound good, and remember our goals for this whole project. We want this to be easy. We don't want to have to think when we're making psych rock. We just want it to work. We want to jump in here, mash some buttons, play around with the joystick, and have it make awesome sounds that sound like floating around in space. So we're going to clip this to 120 to 10,000, and now let's go back to playing around with our number boxes. Move this over. And let's see, we had this back at -10, and the right one we had at 30, and the exponential value... we hadn't really found one that worked yet. Let's just put it at 1. And I think that is all we have to do. We should see this. Yep, this number is going to show us our filter frequency, and it should clip at the correct places, no matter how hard we press on our joystick. So that's too slow on the high end. Low end feels pretty good. And it does indeed stop there at 120. That seems good. I think we could make this a smaller range. Up here it's just getting really slow and really high. So we might just want to speed that up. Alright, back to playing with nudging and exponential values. Just give it a little push, like Bob Ross says. 1.06. Let's try that. That was the suggested value. Woohoo! Still really slow. Let's go higher. Also, let's put this back to the... Whoop! Let's put this back to the middle. I said let's put this back to the middle. Fine, use my right hand. Jeez. That's interesting. It doesn't really want to go back. As soon as I touch the joystick, we're back up here. I feel like that's something with this exponential value. Okay, we're at 962. What happens when I go right? Yep, we're right up there. So clearly, we're not understanding this exponential thing. Let's open the help file back up. Ba-da-bum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Bum, ba-da-bum. Exponential. So, let's make sure we didn't misread this. I wish this window was bigger. What the heck? Alright. Floating point number greater than 1 with larger values leading to steeper exponential curves. Classic mode, a typical value is 1.06. It does its actual scaling after the exponential calculation. And the number is converted according to the following expressions. Interesting. Oh, in non-classic, I should have read to the end of this. In non-classic modern mode, the value for the scaling curve must be higher than 0 and is converted according to the following expression. X in low over in high minus in low equal to 0. If that is true, then we go out low. God, I don't want to decode that. I just want this to work. We will if we have to. We don't need to be scared of things like that. We will decode this if we have to, but today is not that day. I'd like to know what the freaking default value is. Does it say somewhere? At classic. Doesn't say what the default mode is. That'd be nice. Alright, well, I guess we can just go back to trying out some numbers, but I'm starting to think I don't like these exponential values. You know, I'm going to Google once more, because I think there's another object that does this a bit better. I remember there being a smoothing object that might be what we want. Max MSP, smooth numbers. Smoothing out numbers. Okay. Oh, some poor soul working with the Wiimote. Boy, that's really hard. I've done that. Guess it would be, you need to average the values. Wiimote not properly calibrated. Oh, it might be line that I'm thinking of. Just skimming through this. Alright. Line might be what I'm thinking of. What I want it to do is just smooth from one number to the next number so that we get a nice, happy little curve. Oh! Why, I have someone in the chat. Teeth Engraved says, it'd be funny if that was your post from back in the college days. Boy, that occurred to me. I had to go look at the username. I was like, watch this be me. Yeah, my final project was a synth with the Wii remote that let you draw to make sounds, because I've always been really into the connection between visual art and audio stuff. And I've done a couple different iterations of that project because, oh boy, the Wiimotes were a nightmare to work with. I think they're probably a bit better now. I know there's more Zelda games that use them, but I haven't actually tried it yet, so... But yeah, the Wiimotes were hard. The Wiimotes were really hard to get to do anything even kind of predictable. So, never know. I've done that before. I've gotten really excited Googling something when I thought that I found some poor lost soul with the same problem as me, and then found out it was my post from months ago that I'd forgotten about. Ugh. Fun times. Alright, so line. Let's just look this up for a sec. Yeah, generate a ramp from 50... Yeah, okay, this lets you ramp from one number to another number smoothly in some number of milliseconds. So yeah, we might want that to just smooth out our values. I'm gonna leave that there in case we want it. Alright, so let's pick something here. I think that I'm tempted to just ignore the exponential values because it's not really doing what I want. But, so let's just use the nudge for the moment and see if we can get that to a place that we like. I'm going to reopen this so that we have good defaults. Leave the exponential ones alone and just see what we can do without them. Like I said, simple is sometimes better. If we can get the nudge to a place that we like, then maybe we can just leave it at that. Let's pick this from the menu, and let's put this in the middle. Oh, by the way, chat! So, we figured out a name for this synth, I think, and I'm super excited about it. We're gonna call it the Silver Machine. And if you look that up, it is a wonderful song that, as soon as you hear it, will give you some clue as to why. Just one of the best psych rock songs, I think. And I would play it here, but I don't want anyone to complain at me about stealing music. And this is just a tribute, and I think that it's going to be fun. This is going to be called the Silver Machine. In the future, I might see if you guys want to, suggest me anything to name things. In fact, while I'm talking about future things, I'm really excited also because I'm going to get one of those Critter and Guitari machines pretty soon, and it runs Pure Data, and Pure Data is pretty similar to Max MSP. I've used it a tiny bit, but not very much, so we're going to get to learn that together, chat, and make cool things to put on that piece of hardware. So, good things to come. Now, back to this. Minus 10. 30. We've got our... Oh yes, I was going to change the high value. I should probably just make that a number box too. Ba-da-dum-bum-bum. So let's put this here. Float. You should be a float too. Put a decimal point in. Add this to our presentation. Whoops. Oh, I can't hum that. I probably will get copyright complaints for that too. Alright, let's see. Vivant. This is the maximum value. Okay. Save. Close. Click. Menu. Go! Stretch back, because I'm in a stupid slumped position, because I'm excited about things. Alright. Maximum value. Oh boy. Uh-oh was right, chat. Let's try 9,000. And see how that feels. We had 30. We had minus 10. We're going to leave the exponential values alone. feeling pretty slow up here. It does cut off at a good place, though. Let's try a little bit of a higher value on the left. Minus 20 again. That's good. And let's try a bit of a higher value on the right, too. I'm going to go up to 40. Cool. So you know what I'm feeling is that if we are above around here, we want higher nudge values. What number is this? So that's at about 1,000. And if we're below 1,000, we want a lower nudge value. Let's see if we could put that in. I think that's a better idea than playing around with exponential stuff we don't understand. So we're clipping here. And here's where we are controlling. I'm going to get rid of these for now. And we are controlling our nudge values here. So what we want to say is if our left value, if the current value is less than 1,000, then we want to change our scale amount, our nudge amount here. So we would want to check that up here. Here's our current filter value. And we could probably do it after the clip. So let's do this. Trigger. T is shorthand for trigger. Float, float. So whenever a number comes out of here, we're going to send it to two places. First, it's going to go back into controlling our filter, because we want that to be fast. But then it's going to go over here. I'm going to get rid of this for now. And we're going to say less than 1,000. So it's going to do this comparison and give us a 1 or a 0. Let's make sure that works. Oop, turn this on. Meh. Oh my god, left hand. Come on. Up, up. There we go. So we're moving left, we're moving left. As soon as I hit 1,000, we should get this trigger to turn on. And it does. Great. And when I go right, it turns off. Awesome. So now we're going to say select 1 or 0. And we're going to say this is in my way. We're going to hit Command Y to make this patch cord a corner and pull her down here. And now continue. So when we get a 1, we're going to say trigger. So we want a smaller nudge value. I'm going to put a comment here as I work this out. If the current filter frequency is less than 1,000, we want finer grain of control, so smaller nudge value. So we're going to say, let's go trigger 5. And I'm using a positive 5 because this is going to apply for both left and right. You will see. You'll see, chat. Stick with me. Trigger 5. And now we're going to say send. Now this is kind of the max equivalent of using a variable name. Rather than doing a huge long patch cord, this is going to be our left. Let's say nudge amount left. And nudge amount right. And before we go left, we want to say times -1. Whoop. Yep, that's right. And we can leave it alone for the positive value. And I'm going to make this 5 dot just in case, because we want this to be a float. Cool. And if we are above 1,000, we're going to get a 0 here, and we want to trigger a larger number. So this opens us up to, if we want to do a different number left than right, we can do that. But let's leave them the same for right now. So we'll go trigger... You know, I liked 40 for the higher numbers. Let's do that. Trigger 40. This will also go to the -1. Because once we're up in the upper range, we want to be able to travel left fast. And straight over to the right. Now we're going to copy these sends. We're going to turn them into receives. Now we're going to grab them. We're going to pull them down here. We're going to put them where our little number boxes we were using earlier are. Boop. Bibbidi bobbidi boo. We don't need this anymore. And now we're going to take these and instead be able to control them up here. So if we want to change these, I think we can input a number here. Can I set this? Do I want to bother? Let's... Just thinking how much control I want of this. So for right now, we just have these set at 5 and 40. I'm going to leave the labels here. I'm going to add these objects to presentation for right now so that we can tweak them if we need to, like if 5 is too small. And come back up here. There we go. Now I'm forgetting what this is, and that's why we need to label things. Ah, that was the maximum. So we got that set pretty well. We liked 9,000, I think. So let's just put that directly in here. 9,000. And again, sorry to be spending so much time on this, chat, but this is such an integral part of this synth. Like, this joystick needs to feel good. Otherwise, there is no point. Like, who would bother? So, I'm going to save this. Put it over here, close this on up, and select this, and let's see how this feels. So when we're up here, we should be getting, yeah, that's pretty fast. Yep, we're getting 40s. You can see over in this number box that when I jam the controller all the way over, oh, come on, I'm trying to zoom in for you. There we go. Yeah, so when we're up on the right, we can see 40s. And now if I keep holding left, that should switch to 5. And it did. Awesome. Alright, let's see how that sounds. I think this is the right way. Nice. Now it's not so fast down here. Let's turn this up a little bit. Yeah, getting some nice rumble down there. Nice. Feels sensitive, but not too sensitive. And then up here, we should switch. And it's faster. Hey, that's good. Okay, I am noticing a small bug, though. I'm needing to re-trigger the joystick to get that new number to take effect. Okay, we should be able to figure that out. I think we're on the right track here. But real quick, I want to try just making these numbers... let's make this 5 a little bit smaller. I think it's real close. But I think we want to go just a little slower on the low end, and maybe a little faster on the high end. And I like that boundary point. That feels good. Oh, yeah. That's good. Alright, pretty good. Awesome. Alright. 45 feels just a touch too fast. I think we want to split the difference. I think that 42 is a nice, happy Hitchhiker's Guide related number. Let's do that. And let's go 4 here. I think that's going to be good. Now let's figure out this bug, and then I think this is a good place to put it down. We still need to clean this up, but the joystick was going to take as long as it takes. This stuff is complicated. So what's happening here? Let's watch. We need a number box so that we can see what... Well, I guess we have one up here. I'm going to zoom in. So we need to keep an eye on this number box. I'm going to get that out of my way. And when this hits 1,000, we should switch here. And I'm going to put a bang here to show us when we trigger these numbers. Okay, so... That does make sense. This is continuously triggering because we have this metro up here. That makes sense. So you would think this would take effect immediately. Well, first of all, I need to turn the freaking controller on. Boop! Alright. Yeah, that should do it immediately. Yeah, that's working. Oh, you know, here's the problem. If you look up by this receive here, we're triggering the 4 down here, but this still says minus 42. So there's some kind of disconnect between this 4 and where we're receiving this. So down here, this is not taking effect immediately. Something funky is happening with this scale object. How interesting. Alright, chat. I need to take a quick second to grab some water and think to myself about what is happening here. I will be right back. I have a screen for that. Come here, screen. That one. Yes. I will be back in 2 seconds. Alright, chat, we are back. And our camera is working, and we're getting sound. And this time I have my headphones on. Alright, let's continue with our little boss fight here. There's some kind of disconnect happening over here. So, this seems to be sticking at -4 and +4. I need to see where we are, because I feel like we're not changing over at 1,000 like we should be. These numbers are getting triggered at the right time, for sure. Yep, that switches. That is correct. I'm looking at these bangs here. So I know that we are triggering 4 and 42. Maybe there's something wrong with these objects. Here's where we're receiving our nudge amount. So let's look at what we're doing. Let's not take anything for granted. Something here is not working. So there's 42. That's good. And this should be -42 right now. Yep, and it is. As soon as I plug it in, it came right in, which is what we would expect because this metro up here is continuously sending bangs. And so that's good. So what is up with this scale object? We should be seeing... Okay, so now we're at 42. Let's hold... I want to see where our filter is while we're looking at this part of the patch. Let's be messy for a second. I'm just going to pull this down here. Right. So, this out of my way. So, going left. Alright, we're at the minimum. We're at 120. This is saying -4 and +4, but we're still getting -42 out of our scale object here. So what gives? Okay. Now we're back to 42. Uh-huh. But this one is still saying 4. Now it's at 42. What is happening here? Oh, goodness. Yeah, so this -4. Oh, I see. So this -4 is hanging out here, and we should see this immediately change to -4. Thinking. I think I'm seeing. It's like a, it's on the tip of my tongue. I feel like we need a bang over here that tells scale to take this into account. Because I'm holding left right now. We should be seeing -4. And we do, as soon as I get some new values in here. But the old value, I see. Okay, so here's what's up. I'm just holding left. And I'm trying to put it into words, but I keep almost seeing it and then it goes away. Alright, we got this though. Okay. So, when I go right, this is still saying 4, and that's right, because we're at 925 hertz. And when I go up, we get 42 coming out here. That's what we want. Let's watch what happens when I come down. We're all the way to the left. Okay, so this bug is happening if I just hold left. If I'm like wiggling the controller around a bit, it's fine because we're getting new values in here and the leftmost inlet is what triggers output. But if I just hold left or hold right, then this is not sending us any new information. As far as the joystick is concerned, we're just hanging out at 255. See? This guy isn't changing. I'm just holding right. And we are past our cutoff point here. And these numbers are correct. But this inlet has not received any new information from the joystick. We've received the new scale object, so as soon as I put a new number in here, we're going to get the correct output. Like, I'm still holding my joystick to the right. If I one-handedly, let's connect a float in here and just try inputting a number, this thing is like ready and waiting. If I put in just another instance of 255, as if the maximum were re-triggered, we should get 42. And we do. So that's the problem. This bug is only happening if we hold right or hold left. So, that would have been a tricky one to figure out later, huh, chat? Because as soon as you try and investigate it by moving the joystick around, it corrects itself. But if you just hold one direction, then we just have the old scale value coming out of here. So what to do about this? We could send our metro down here, but I feel like that is actually sending a lot more bangs than we need, and we might run into processing power walls later. And I think we can do a better solution by using a change object. Whenever this changes, we need to trigger the output, even if the joystick hasn't moved. So let's say change, and initial value is 0, because we always want it to change. And I'm going to put this object through here. I'm going to move this down. Ooh, excuse me. Whoop, that's not what I want. Oh, no! So let's look at what these outlets are again. So here, this object passes a number through if it has changed. And that is what we want. And we are, let's see, the nudge amount to the right is the high value. So we want that. But before we send the number in here, actually after we send the number in here, we want to say, hey scale, here's your new number. Now trigger the output. So I'm going to use trigger again. I'm going to say B for bang. I'm going to say F for float. Put this in here. Whoop. We are definitely going to have to clean this up next time, chat. This patch is getting freaking out of control. So float goes in here first at the high output value, and then a bang. We can trigger it here. Because then whatever the current value is, even if I'm not all the way to the right, we're going to send it back through this split chain and into the scale. So now let's see what happens. If I am holding right, watch this. When we come up past, when we passed 1,000, we got 42 here. And over here, we're still stuck at, okay, so left, we're still stuck at minus 42. And we want to change that. So let's do the same thing over here. I think this is working. Scoot this down. And let's option drag these two objects. And scoot this down to make some room. Oh my goodness. Move this over here. Yeah, we really need to clean this up next time, chat. I've seen patches that are messier than this, but we need to catch this early. So here's where our float should go. We want it going into the low output value. Then we want to trigger a bang on the left. And actually, these could probably just go to the same place. We just want to trigger whatever the current value of the joystick is. So let's send them both up here, and it should go through our gate logic correctly and just trigger an output. Both of these up here. This over here. Scoot this down. See, this is a thing you don't run into with text languages. Though you do run into different kinds of messy things with text languages. That's for sure. Oh, Lord. Okay. You, here, you, here. Yeah, and then this needs to go in here. Right. We good. We've got one split here. We've got one split here, both going into scale. Let's put this here so we can see. I need more room. More room! I need a little room to breathe. Because I am one step closer to the edge. And hopefully this isn't about to break. I am such a dork, and I'm sorry. Oh my god, too many patch cables. Alright, pulling this down. Pulling this over here. You. Out of my way. You. Over here. You. Down here. I hate these crossed patch cables. Okay. Now we can kind of see where things are going, and we can see that there is some symmetry between these scale objects. I'm doing this because I want to make sure I haven't connected something to the wrong freaking outlet. Low output value. High output value. Float followed by bang. Float followed by bang. Change 0. Nudge amount L, nudge amount right. Okay. Let's see. So now hopefully, yep, up to 42 when we're up. And now when we go left and hold left, this should start out as minus 42. And as soon as, I'm going to zoom in again. This should start out as minus 42. And as soon as we pass 1,000 here, it should flip over right away to being minus 4. There's our minus 42, and there's our minus 4. There. So that should behave right. Let's put this number box back where it belongs. It's lost, it's scared, it's far away from home. It lives up here. Let's put this back. Whoops. Undo. Yeah, this just goes in here. We were using it to monitor where our filter frequency was. It's happy back home now. Let's save everything. This is down here. This is all of our, this is our right our joystick Y. We will deal with that at another point. This is our output for audio. Let's put that over here. Okay. That is clean enough that we kind of know where things are for next time. Here's all our button stuff. This is part of the joystick. We can get rid of this, actually. And, alright, let's see how this plays. Close. Select. Woo! Alright. Now it should go faster, and it does! Nice, and now it goes slower. And we can see our little number box over here. It's in the 4s if we're down here. And if we're up here, it's in 42 land. Alright. I like that. Bit of a quick transition here. Might be good if we could ramp these. But I think that's a problem for next time. Nice. Victory is ours, chat. I think that is certainly better than it was. I'm gonna take these out of presentation mode. Though I'm gonna just nudge this a little bit lower. I think 40 is better. We could even take this a little bit farther and have like a middle condition. But as I said, that as a job for next time. Take these out of presentation. Cool. I think that's pretty good. And next time, we're going to put this into its own little house of a subpatcher so that we can then reuse it for the Y-axis and for our other joystick when we get to add an LFO. So, I think that is a good place to call it for tonight. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks again to our followers, and I think, oh yeah, I was going to say I joined this this decade and I have a Twitter account now, so if anyone wants to follow me on there and or on Instagram, send me your patches and we can actually spend some time here and there showing off your stuff. I want this to be a community that's not just like you guys watching me, but we can all help each other out. We can all learn together. I want to see your patches. I want to see your music. And eventually we're going to get into doing generative art stuff as well in processing and P5.js. So send me that too. Send me anything creative you're doing. And hopefully we can help each other out and learn from each other, teach each other tricks, and just generally ramble at each other and share the love. So, with that, oh, I wonder, let's see, is there anyone actually here? If there is, we could do a raid. I've never done that before. Can we do a raid? We have 3 viewers, let's go raid somebody! Alright, how do I do this? I'm gonna click raid channel. We could go over to Games Done Quick. Oh, let's raid Kung Fu Fruit Cup, she's fun. She's doing Breath of the Wild. Let's do it. Start raid. Alright, see you later, chat! This has been super fun. And thank you for joining me, and I'll see you on YouTube and the Twitters and all that stuff. Bye! Let's go.